super special guest. My friend, I've known him for well over 20 years, actually, prior to, NFTs and everything that's happened in NFT land. We have Mark Robinson here with us, and Mark is a man of many talents. He runs an actual company, Brantegic Social Media Marketing, which he'll tell you more about. He does a podcast, Marketing the Metaverse, and also he's launching NFT Seattle for the first time ever. I'm bummed because I can't go guess my bachelor party. I'm sure he's bummed he can't go to my bachelor party. But I'm gonna let Mark, say a quick hello before I dive into just pummeling him with questions, because I'm sure you guys want to hear from an expert marketer.
Thanks for having me on the show, man. Excited to chat. Yeah, we've known each other for a long time, so it's been fun to reconnect in this new space.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, it's definitely exciting to see that you're an expert in marketing even prior to starting your podcast and helping a lot of NFT projects. And you told me a little bit about your story when we hung out at NFT LA. But for the people, my audience is a lot of people who speculate on NFTs. They want to learn what's the hot projects out there. Some of them are founders, developers of projects themselves. And you coming from, I wouldn't want to say Web 2, because I think social media marketing is more like, between Web 2 and Web 3, you're more ingrained in there. Tell us about your experience. Like, what kind of got you started first off into, Brantegic. Can you tell us about Brantegic and what you do there and
Sure.
How you guys operate?
Yeah, totally. So Brantegic is a marketing agency. People typically hire us to create content for social media. So people will bring us on to create a lot of social first video content, whether that's for their website, for social media, sometimes TV advertisements and bigger video projects too, or they'll engage with us to actually execute an entire social media marketing strategy, whether that's ads, lead gen, branding, all those kinds of things. So everything social media and the content that builds towards that is what we do. That's why people engage with Brantegic. And so I oversee a lot of what we do for our social media team. I've hired a lot of our team. Partnered with my buddy who founded the company and so it's just the two of us early on. And now we've got a team of about 20 people here in Bellevue. So we've got a studio. A lot of people either fly in or will sometimes fly out to capture content and then leverage it on social media. So helping people leverage where people's attention already is to actually grow their business. So that's what we're doing at Brantegic. And then my background, like even before that, way back in the day, I went to college for digital art. Actually, I studied industrial design and graphic design. So I was thinking beginning of 2021 about getting a little bit back into the art scene as a creative outlet, and had considered doing that. And so I was getting some inspiration and thinking about it. And at the same time was diving a little deeper into crypto. I've dabbled in crypto for a while, but was starting to get a little bit more into it. And so the combination of digital art and crypto, and then at the same time seeing people like Gary Vaynerchuk and Tom Bilyeu talk about, hey, if it's not NFTs, if it's not crypto and Web3, I don't have time for it because I'm shifting my entire business into this direction, makes you think, okay, there's clearly something going on here. I'm going to at least pay attention and start to see what's going on. And that's what encouraged me to dive a little deeper into the space. And then with Facebook, now Meta, changing their name, being in the social media marketing space, that was a wake-up call that's like, okay, this is actually a lot further than any of us. This is not new. They've been planning this for a long time. They're already super deep in the space. That wasn't a spontaneous decision on their front, right? Yeah. And so that's when I launched the podcast, Marketing in the Metaverse, to say, hey, I know marketing, but what does marketing in the metaverse look like? How is this going to evolve? What's the future of social media? And I'm going to talk to people that are a lot smarter than me, that I can just learn what other people are up to. And instead of being, playing catch up 6 months, a year, 5 years from now, I want to be at the forefront and position myself to actually capitalize on all this stuff.
Wow. So yeah, you're just, I'm not trying to float my own boat here, but like, okay, I'll switch it. I'm just like you. Not like, I was going to say you're just like me because I wanted to get ahead of the game and document the space, but you're doing it on a professional level. Okay. So that's the difference here. I'm going to go back and hopefully not try to stump you, but I wanted to ask you, just rewinding back before the NFT stuff, Web 2, as people like to call it. I don't think, social media marketing is Web 2 at all. I think it's very dynamic. In that space, you got to be dynamic because it's moving lightning pace, just like NFTs, right? What do you think separates a social media marketing agency or you guys from like someone else? Is it I'm talking NFT language now. Is it the artwork? Is it, the community? What is it that brand strategic really, or does it have to be? Is it just, there's so much need for social media marketing that, I'm not sure if I'm saying the right thing here, but
Sure.
a lot of companies come and find you guys, for work.
Yeah, I think, well, we definitely grew a lot during COVID because it's been, during COVID, that's when now everybody's attention has to be online. That's where people are
Right.
living because the world practically shut down. And so we went from a team of maybe 4 or 5 to probably 12 or 15 over, in the first year of COVID. So we tripled or quadrupled, which was a blessing, right? A lot of people struggled through that time. And luckily that was really, like in our case, really good for business. But what has led to a lot of people reaching out to us, I think a lot of it has come down to trust, honestly, because it can be a space kind of like NFTs and Web3 and all the stuff that you talk about a lot, and I talk about a lot too, but it's hard to know who to trust, right? Because there's a lot of, right now we're seeing rug pulls and scammers, and we just saw everything that happened with Luna, and it's like, man, where do I put my money? What's safe to invest in? And from a marketing standpoint, it's the same thing. Maybe you don't, maybe I see these ads all the time because I'm in the marketing space, but there's so many gurus on social media and how to make a ton of money online. And so how do you cut through all the noise and actually engage with somebody that you believe can actually get you results? And it comes down to, do you trust them? And so that's, I think, a big reason why we focus on creating good content for companies is because people work with who they know, like, and trust. Yep. And if we can capture people on video, tell their story in a way that is authentic, where the real them actually shows up. When you're building your personal brand, that's just showing people who you already are. It's not changing yourself so that you can create some brand and find out how. It's like, no, you're just documenting who you already are. We say we make people look as good as they are, right? So we exist to help companies look as good as they are. There's a lot of companies that are really good at what they do, just don't know how to actually show up and take advantage of where people's attention is on social media. So that's what we help companies. We bridge that gap for them. And I think the trust that people have when they engage with us, and a lot of our businesses come through referrals and relationships, but that's why we've done so well.
Nice. I'm gonna see that tagline. Just be who I am. That's something that's the only thing I can do because I'm not working with a big social media marketing agency yet. That's awesome. Yeah. So in the social media marketing space, has anyone reached out to you guys prior to, I would say 2021, prior to no one, right? About Web3, NFTs. Have you seen that increase recently? Have you guys done marketing on that? How's that looking?
So as an agency, we have not done that.
Oh,
and
okay.
Yeah, so I've consulted on some projects, but we have not, as an agency, engaged with any NFT companies. And reason for that, we're trying to, you can only go in so many directions at once. And when you start a company, initially you're saying yes to everything. Oh, this customer wants to pay me money. Yeah, we can do that. We'll figure it out. And that's how you grow sometimes starting out. But then you kind of figure out, okay, these are some things, maybe we shouldn't offer that. That's really not in our wheelhouse. And you start to refine what your offer is. And so we're really refining and getting really, really good and honing in on what is it that we do the best and where can we separate ourselves. And then NFT comes along and it's like, okay, that is a whole new offering. How do we engage with that? What does that look like? Especially with me going out there and talking about NFTs and getting really excited about the space. That generates leads for us in that space for sure. And so we are having conversations with people about it, but we haven't. And I think part of the reason is something that I wouldn't say it's unique to NFTs, but something that's really accentuated and is bigger than, in traditional social media. What's more crucial is the community building aspect. And if we're going to take on a project where we're helping a company build a community and actually execute it, not just advise and give some strategies and whatnot, which we do, but if we're actually executing on it, that takes a lot of manpower, a lot of time. And I'm the one that's super intimately familiar with the NFT space. So it takes a lot of me personally diving in and really like hand-holding that whole process and investing into our team to build up a team to support it. So we have not chosen to go down deep into that yet, but it's on the radar and we're getting some leads of companies that are, hey, we're getting ready to mint, or we just minted. How do we manage this community and how can we create content to drum up excitement? And so we're talking to some about creating a lot of video content for it because that's really in our wheelhouse and what we offer right now. But figuring out how we're going to integrate that and what that looks like moving forward.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if you want to give this away if you know the answer to it. What's one thing that Web3 NFTs, maybe it doesn't have to be NFTs, well, maybe NFTs, that's missing, that might be missing in terms of marketing that you would have them implement, that would push, exactly what you said, push engagement, not so much community, because I know community is super important, but let's just take one side of it, because we can go any different way, right? Like, let's say a company wants to get out there and have a sellout, let's say. Let's start
Right.
there. Like, what's one thing you think they're absolutely missing, or they pretty much got it buttoned down now?
I would say there's two things. So I get the question a lot. Hey, we really want your help with marketing. Can you help us? We're trying to sell out. We've got this 10,000 project, and man, I might even say there's three things, because everybody wants to sell out. Everybody wants to have a successful project, right? And that's where the money is. People see the money that's being thrown around, and everybody wants their piece of it, which I get. I want my piece of it too, right? Like, I want to sell out a successful NFT project for sure, and I've got some ideas for that. But they'll say that, and then it's like, okay, our mint date we have selected is 5 weeks from now, and we need to build this huge community, drum up a ton of excitement. And you don't build a community overnight. It takes time to do that. So the two things that I've seen, one takes a lot of time, which is building a lot of solid one-on-one relationships. That's not super scalable, but it pays off long-term, right? So building a lot of relationships with the right people, because you can pay an influencer to shout out your project, but that's kind of a gamble. There's a lot of influencers that are only in it for the money. It doesn't really mean anything, and people see through that stuff. Initially, like, give it, 18 months ago, that really worked because nobody was talking about NFTs. Right. So a big influencer jumps on, wow, that means a lot. Now people see through it, and unless they're really invested and really care about it, which it's hard to get through to an influencer and somebody with a big name and a lot of trust in the community, unless you actually have a relationship with them. So how can you build those right relationships? That's why NFT events, the in real life stuff, has been really valuable, I think. And so that's one. That's not really scalable, but building those actual relationships, it all comes down to the people. I think that, and this is something I talk about a lot on my podcast, and it's confirmed every time I have a guest, and it's like, man, the companies that do the best at creating the most meaningful human connections are actually the companies that are going to win. And I don't think that's necessarily new to Web3 or the Metaverse or any of this stuff, but it's becoming more and more apparent. And I think that's really cool, because people see the Metaverse and they're scared of, man, people are just going to live inside this virtual world. And, this whole digital ecosystem is kind of scary. But it's like, no, this is more than ever. Whoever does the best job at creating meaningful connections is actually going to win. And so creating those actual real relationships with the right people, I think that's one thing that a lot of people are not doing well. They're waiting until 3, 4, 5 weeks before a mint to say, hey, how do I get a lot of excitement? It's like, okay, well, how many relationships have you built? Not really. Like, that's why I'm starting now. Well, now you're really like creating a relationship with an end goal in mind of how they're going to help you. And then you're kind of it's just a little bit of a different dynamic than if you're going into it, adding value, building genuine relationships. And then the second thing that I haven't seen a lot of projects do is leveraging short form video content really well. Right. And that's what we do at Braintegic, but outside of like traditional companies and traditional businesses that we're working a lot with, there are some projects that have done this. And I've seen it more probably from a single artist that does a little PFP project or something like that, versus a big scale company that's actually launching a project and leveraging short form video really well, but leveraging Reels and TikToks and YouTube Shorts and putting out 1, 2, 3, 4 videos a day, doing that, really building a connection. I think there's a big opportunity there, because not as much anymore, but there for a while, so many projects were not doxed. More and more now are doxed. But the power in video is you get to actually build relationships at scale, right? Each video I put out that's got May face on it and I'm talking to people, that's like a salesperson that is now building relationships with the community while I'm sleeping or doing whatever I'm doing, right? And so if you're a NFT project and you're looking for, okay, how can I quickly build a community, build trust, get brand recognition, and create more exposure for myself? Gary Vee talks about this all the time. If you follow him, and if you're watching this, you probably do. But really taking advantage of Reels, TikTok, there's so much organic traffic that's available. And if you invest into, it's not fun to come up with, 2, 3, 4 TikTok ideas every single day. It takes time, it takes intentionality, it takes work. And you have to get over just the personal, self-consciousness of getting on camera, right? If you're a company that's looking to do it and you've got an extensive team, maybe you take turns and share that burden or share that responsibility with a number of people. But I think there's a lot of opportunity there to show your face and build trust in a community that's full of PFPs and people kind of hiding behind that profile image. Putting your face at the forefront of your marketing strategy, I think that's a big opportunity.
Nice. That's actually super important piece that I didn't think was scalable, but you said it. Interesting. That's very interesting. You said you could build relationships at scale with video form. Wow, I never thought, but it makes sense because I'm on a YouTube channel and I've built some of the best relationships that I have with people in NFT land and Twitterverse because they watch my YouTube video.
Right.
Yeah, that's absolutely something that I need to keep myself motivated on, because to your point, finding the motivation to do 3 TikToks a day with proper intentions. Yeah, that's something that I need to definitely do better. Interesting.
And it doesn't have to be 3 every single day. Some people do that, especially if you're trying to stay on top of the new trends, because those change so quickly. Like daily, there's a new trend that pops out. If you're trying to be super trendy, that's one way to do it. But we have a client that our team is flying back to San Francisco actually right now. And we created a year's worth of content between Sunday, Monday, and half of Tuesday. So in 2.5 days, we're going to be putting out probably 3 videos a week for this client. Yeah. So 150 videos in 3 days, but videos can be 7 seconds long, 12 seconds long. Sometimes it's just B-roll, right? With some text on it. It's not like every single one has to be, okay, let me put my 7 points out here. Let me come up with an amazing hook. Let me find a trend. You can spend 2 hours doing that. And sometimes that makes sense. And sometimes that's fun. That might be your creative outlet, right? But if you're struggling to say, okay, how can I actually, how can I find a way to be consistent with this and actually stick with doing 3 TikToks a day? Yeah. Budgeting 2 hours a day is maybe not realistic for a lot of people. That's pretty daunting. But if you can budget either 2.5 days or, hey, I'm going to knock out all the videos for the next week in 2 hours, 4 hours on a Saturday, then that's like batching the content that way is typically more doable for a lot of people.
You got a client, hey, I'm in San Francisco. The team wanted to stay. I could have knocked out a whole year's worth of content with them.
That's right.
I don't know if you work with, small individuals with, low budgets like me, but you got to do client.
Hey, we got you. Hey, you can fly up to Seattle.
Yeah,
we'll take care of you up here.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. A whole year's worth in 3 days. That sounds absolutely something I would pay for. Like, I mean, I know we're friends, but I would absolutely pay for that because that saves so much time and energy, and especially if someone would do it for you, that's worth like gold. Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I don't see enough people doing that, maybe because they're not documented, but even the ones that are documented, they're not doing anything in that form where, they're in your face all the time. So awesome. Okay.
And I think some of that is because the community has been so ingrained in Twitter and it hasn't fully translated to, there's quite a big presence on TikTok. Instagram is coming around, especially with them rolling out the NFT integration right now. So that's exciting to see how that is going to play out. And so I think it's going to become a bigger and bigger platform for NFT projects, especially because Instagram is more visual too, right? So for showcasing artwork and that kind of stuff, I see Instagram becoming where a lot more attention is going to be living.
Is there data and analytics on that now that you know of, which would be the best for NFT platform, project or community to be on to engage with new and old users? Is it TikTok? Is it Instagram? Because they're all different demographics for each, right?
Right. Is there data on where the NFT community lives?
What's better for to engage with existing community and potentially, recruit new community members? Is it better off of TikTok?
Gotcha.
We all know Twitter is the answer right now. But, but a lot of, I never used Twitter before NFTs, never, ever in my life. So a lot of people don't live on Twitter. So is there any other platform? Because I know a couple of friends that are launching their own projects. They're probably gonna have this question to me. Ask you. Yeah.
I think there's actually a big community on LinkedIn too. So LinkedIn, there's a pretty good community. You can be more targeted on LinkedIn because it's pretty easy to see. Sometimes it's hard to tell what people are actually into on Instagram because a lot of times it's more personal. You can find out on LinkedIn what somebody's actually up to and whatnot. And if you're running ads, you can be a lot more targeted. They're typically way more expensive on LinkedIn because of that, but you get what you pay for in some ways. So I think the biggest thing, if you're starting out and you're not savvy or comfortable using all of the platforms right now, then I would say find one that speaks to you and be consistent with it and do it really well. So best case scenario, you've got that omnipresence where you're putting out content on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, and you're hitting the main platforms, right? But if you're just trying to figure out where's the best one is the one you can actually stick with. So find one that you can actually do, and it's better to stick with one and do it really well than it is to have there's a quote that I like that says it's the start that stops most people. And most people get so overwhelmed before they even dive in that they never end up doing anything. So if you're going to be more likely to actually follow through by picking one platform and going deep, do that. If you can do that and then leverage the content and put it out on the other platforms, great. That's even better.
Got it. And this is a question, hopefully I'm asking correctly. When's a good time for people to outsource to a company? Is it based on budget or the goals? What do you usually, because I'm sure a lot of clients will ask you this question.
Yeah, I think it depends on budget for sure, right? So it really just depends. It depends on your budget and it depends on your goals. So if you're actually, and you can outsource as much as you want, you can scale it up based on what your budget is. But if you see the value in it, and we like to work with forward-thinking people, because if somebody's not forward-thinking, then they don't see the value in throwing down tens of thousands of dollars for a year's worth of video, right? And it's not always tens of thousands. There's people that might come and do a video a week, right? So they might film 4 videos a pop instead of filming 150 videos a pop. So you can scale it. And I think just if you're not going to do it on your own, and it's going to help you to have somebody coach you through it, then figure out at what level you can do that and outsource it and have somebody help you with it, whether it's just coaching you through it or whether it's end-to-end doing everything for you, from giving you the topic, filming it, editing it, posting it. You can invest as much as you want based on your budget.
Got it. I'll email you right after this, because I live and breathe in YouTube. Everything else I would do if I could outsource it, because it's tough doing shorts and TikTok. And I did it for a little bit, then I just got really fragmented. But right. To your point, where my strengths lie is on YouTube, because I'm so charming and so good looking.
I get it, man. I wish I was like you.
No.
But YouTube is great because you've got so much content on YouTube, so you can splice long form content into short form and get a lot of stuff from what you're already doing too.
Yeah, I think because I'm editing, it takes a long time. Like each of my videos takes like 3 hours to edit. So to edit even further, if I had a good process and I could outsource some pieces of it, those are the things that I need to learn to run a bigger platform to reach people. Yeah.
Sometimes, my mindset is, I think getting to the point, and this depends on your budget and how comfortable you are investing into it and that kind of stuff. And that's just different for every person, right? There's no right or wrong answer. But whenever I think about it, I'm like, okay, if I'm Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk, am I going to be editing my own videos? I'm like, no, these guys that I'm trying to build business so that I can get on, maybe not necessarily the richest man in the world, but you're trying to build a scalable business and create a successful company. And the people that we look up to are not editing their own videos. So the sooner that you can do that, and sometimes you have to do it for a while before it makes sense, just financially or time-wise or whatever, to actually outsource it. And then coming up with, if you're not engaging somebody that's used to, you can hire a little freelancer, but then for that to be effective, you have to build a whole system for them to follow, because they're not maybe the type that has an entire system that you just plug into, right? So there's levels to what it makes sense to invest into. But the people that we respect that have built successful brands and companies, maybe they started out doing it, but they're not sitting there editing their own content, right? So the sooner you can get to the point where you can outsource it, the better.
Yep. Noted. I'm getting so many gold nuggets here, Mark. Jeez. Now I can fast forward my life 10 years and, actually succeed quicker.
That's it, man. That's what we're trying to do.
So let's talk about marketing in the meta really quickly. So you run a podcast called Marketing in the Meta, which people can download on Spotify and Apple, right?
Correct.
Yeah. And I'm sure I've heard a few, and you've interviewed some amazing people. I'm sure you've gotten a lot of good alpha on there. In terms of marketing in the meta, since you've started to now, what's some of it's probably hard to pinpoint one or two things that stand out for marketing in the meta, and then anything else that is the meta in NFT, in the NFT space. Well, it's not, okay, marketing in the meta is not an NFT podcast. So we don't have to peg it straight to NFTs. But how's that been? What is marketing in the meta? Is there any alpha on what is the new meta of today? Even that word itself is, new for a lot of people.
Right. Yeah. I think the metaverse is just the next evolution of the internet, right? So, and I heard a good analogy, which is, okay, was there a day where somebody was born and all of a sudden they're a millennial versus Gen Z versus, and it's kind of like there's a gradient, or it's just a natural progression. It's not two people that are next to each other where one's Gen Z, one's millennial. Sometimes they're wildly different. Sometimes you can't tell them apart because they're just really close, and you can put them in whatever category. And I think Web 2 and Web 3 is kind of like that, where, oh, this is the metaverse. Okay, and this is just the internet. And it's really, there's not like a hard defined line where all of a sudden now we're in the metaverse, right? So maybe we're in Web 2.5 right now, or whatever that is. It's kind of a progressive transition to that. And so that's my analogy of where we're at with the metaverse. It's evolving right now, and we're all playing a part into building it and helping brands. Like how are brands going to capitalize on, now there's real estate in the metaverse, and there's all this new advertising space, and which metaverse do you plug into? What is, is it a metaverse? Is it all a metaverse? Are there different metaverses? So people are trying to navigate and figure out all of that stuff, right? And there's not one way to do it. I think everybody right now that's diving in plays a part in just creating it. And you can just jump in, and if you heard that race car right outside my window. So
yeah.
But anyways, yeah. So there's a lot of opportunities, but there's not one clear way to actually do it. I think it goes back to kind of what I said before of what's the best way that you can actually create meaningful connections, one, with real humans. How do you facilitate that and do the best job at that? Meta charges, at least from what they're speculatively putting out there, they're going to be charging a lot for the stuff that they're doing. So if you're plugging into their like NFT platform, they're taking a huge percentage. But my thesis is they're probably going to have a really amazing platform that like integrates really well and allows people to connect with each other really well. And they're going to make it so easy and seamless and create really cool opportunities for people to connect. So then people can decide, okay, is this worth it for me to plug into this ecosystem? It's more expensive, but the human connection is so far advanced beyond some of these other more just basic systems that I'm not going to put on some VR headset and like have a clunky experience. If I'm going to do it, I want as real of a connection as I can. And so, that's some of the things that I'm seeing, but I think a lot of it comes down to human connection and then just building community effectively. Community is really where that's kind of a buzzword, I think, in the NFT space or in the metaversal space in all of Web3, but that's really the value is who can build the strongest community and create connections and meaningful relationships. And that's the alpha. That's where the money's at. That's what people are trying to figure out. And that's what brands are trying to do. Brands have had audiences for a long time. And it's, okay, how do we actually create a community now more than just an audience?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And is the community aspect, have you seen any consistencies in people that you've interviewed or projects that make a community stronger? Is there one metric to measure, or is it not really? It's just, not just the size, right? There could be interactions, because in social media marketing, engagement is a metric. What would be one if there were to be one in metaverse or NFT land?
Sure. What's a clear metric for gauging the strength of a community? Is that
if there is one? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think engagement to an extent, but I think of engagement almost differently. In a audience, you're judging engagement based on, okay, how much engagement is this end consumer getting with me, the brand? And with community, it's how much engagement is there between the people inside the community, right? So it's like, how much engagement is there between other people that are, consumers or just community members versus how many of these community members are engaging with me? That is what I would say is the distinction. And so that's why brands that have a cause that they're rallying people around, the younger generation, I think, is more drawn, and I think all of us are, but probably even more so the younger generation right now is drawn to some sort of a cause that they can get behind, right? And what that does is it rallies people together where they're now interacting with each other because they have something in common. And that's what I think is driving some of these communities really well. And I think there's a lot of things too that are not necessarily new to Web3 at all. It's actually kind of funny that a lot of people are, the barrier for entry to start a company or an NFT project, however you want to call it, has become so low, which is amazing. But people are getting in like, wow, this is so different than anything else. Now you have to like add value. You have to really be transparent and like build relationships with your customers, and you have to set expectations and then actually deliver. Like none of that stuff is new, right? That's just
Right.
called business. But now there's so many people that have never built a company before that are learning all these things and think it's all new to Web3. And so one of the things that I've seen that has been, I would say, successful in building a strong community is just a company having really clear values and actually living those out. It's so easy in this space with all the FOMO to look at what everybody else is doing and be like, oh, wow, they just sold out. I need to do that. This project is crushing it. That's what I'm going to do, exactly what Clonex did, right? Or I'm going to do exactly what this other, and it's like, no, like what is your community going to rally around? Why is somebody going to join your community? You don't have to be the next Clonex. Be like, what is actual, like, create a community that you would want to be a part of and then make that accessible to other people.
Yep.
So living out your values, what is going to be unique to your community, and then having that be the kind of guiding force. And I think that's what attracts people that are aligned with your mission to that community.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm in the problem personally, because I was documenting the space, is that I'm in too many communities. So now I'm in the mindset of I need to get rid of the noise and find the communities that resonate with the most, which is just a handful. It really is harder. It's hard to do more than just like a handful. But yeah, absolutely. Just the ones that, absolutely. So now that I think about it, it's the people that I want to be in the same chat rooms with, not the ones that are like whining and complaining. We're talking about, the same things. And if they don't like the Warriors, then I'm not going to talk to them in the NBA Top Shop Discord. and vice versa, different Discords. So yeah, I really am gravitating towards that, the community aspect of it. And then within it, finding, unique relationships that, people that I would like to be in touch with in real life.
Right.
And that's something that I never thought would happen as fast as it did, that I've actually met quite a few people in real life from the Metaverse, the NFT space, through, just being complete strangers, but being dumped into this interesting period of time and meeting people all around the world, actually. Yeah. Japan. Yeah.
And reconnecting with people that you've known for a long time, but haven't talked to in years too, right?
Yeah. Of course, I would have called you.
Exactly.
No, you would have got the phone call for the bachelor party, 100%, because there's a lot of people. Yeah. But yeah, no, definitely reconnecting. Oh yeah, absolutely. So reconnecting, just like you said, there's so many people that I've reconnected with that I haven't spoken to a long time, but we're in the same Discord. Discord being this, people know what that is. And we just started talking about the NFTs, and we're like, wow, we would have never been in the same conversation, had it not be for NFTs. So absolutely, yeah, that's correct.
One thing that I think is interesting as we talk about community building and stuff too, the goal is to, like, everybody likes to be a part of an exclusive community, right? When you get VIP access to something that everybody wants and you get it, when you get courtside tickets, you feel pretty awesome. And so everybody likes that exclusivity, being a part of a special group, right? And so how do you create a community that, if you do it really well in the NFT space, then price goes up and it becomes this exclusive thing that everybody wants. But if you create it with the vision of, hey, here's the community I want, how do I create something like this that's accessible to so many people? Well, if you do a good job, then it becomes less accessible to people because it goes up in value, and then it becomes really exclusive. So it's kind of an interesting dynamic, seeing how different communities are looking at that and dealing with that when they start it with the end in mind of, hey, we're going to create this amazing community that's going to impact so many people and everybody can be a part of it. But then if they are successful, people can't be a part of it anymore because they can't afford to buy into this exclusive club. So it's kind of an interesting dynamic to play out.
Yeah, well, Moonbirds did just that. They had the 100 ETH club, and then they came out with the 10,000 collection, and that's soon to be 100 ETH, it seems. So, I'm not sure if that plays out for everyone, but that's a project that had that good problem of, everyone wanted to be in it, and then it actually expanded to new members. So that's interesting.
It is a good problem. That's true.
Yeah. So you are organizing NFT Seattle. Tell us about, why, how'd you came up with it, you're spearheading it, everything about it, and what we need to know.
Let's go. Yeah. So I bought the domain probably 9 months ago.
Oh, wow.
Bought the domain nftseattle.io a long time back. And pretty much as I was buying my first NFTs and really diving into the space, was looking around at what's going on in Seattle. And at the time, there was really not much of anything. But you started to see these events pop up like NFT NYC and NFT Miami and NFT LA. And so like, okay, the other three corners are covered. What's going on with Pacific Northwest? We're supposed to be this tech hub with Meta's got a headquarters here and Microsoft is headquartered here and all this stuff, but we're just kind of silent, right? And so that's what started the wheels turning. And then as I've gotten more ingrained in the community, I've realized there's a lot of different pockets of like, there's actually a pretty big NFT community in Seattle and people that are interested in blockchain technology and Web3 and the metaverse and all that stuff, but they're just very fragmented and they're not unified at all. And so the vision, the hope is to actually create more of a community, put Seattle on the map. So by bringing in speakers and experiences and connecting just the general community out here and inviting people from all over the place to come join, the vision is to unite the community. So we have more of that community feel like a lot of other places I think do, and attract more attention to the NFT space out here. So the event's going to be really fun. The vision behind it is not just everybody come and sit in a conference room and great, now we just united the community. That's not what that means. We want to have people leave with new meaningful relationships. I've talked about that a couple times, but so Thursday is going to be different satellite events with communities. There's going to be a VIP cruise for the speakers, the sponsors, and the VIP ticket holders through the Puget Sound at sunset. It's going to be beautiful. And Seattle in the summer is pretty amazing. Like we get a lot of flack for how much it rains out here, but what a lot of rain in the off season makes for is a really beautiful, lush, green, blue, sunny summer. So that's Thursday. Friday is going to be kind of the main event where there's talks, more convention style. We've got a lot of speakers lined up, as well as sponsors that are going to be showcasing some really cool stuff. And then that night there's going to be an after party. And then Saturday is going to be some organized and sponsored like outdoor activities, as well as more community events. So that is a quick overview of what's happening at NFT Seattle, July 28th through 30.
Okay, made me get major FOMO, especially the cruise thing. You got me. Yeah,
maybe you can come in just for the cruise, and then you can bounce to the bachelor party. You know,
I totally would, because that's more my cup of tea than the bachelor party. The bachelor party is more for my friends than it is for me.
I know somebody that could maybe hook you up with a one night only VIP experience on the cruise. Might be able to work something out there. So let's see what we can do.
Yeah, no, that sounds amazing. And from going to NFT LA and seeing, the NFT community come together, I really, I know that at these events is where relationships get made, business relationships get made, and, just friends get made, relationships, appear out of nowhere. So that's really exciting. I've been to so many conferences and met some of the best people there. And it's just I don't know. I wish I could go there and even speak, but I would have to ditch my bachelor party. That's that part. That's awesome. So what have you seen? Have you learned anything new from organizing that event? Anything that that's just stood out for you?
It's a lot of work to put together an event. So luckily we've got a team. So it's not just Mark Robinson putting on this event. We've got a team. So there's about 5 of us on the team. And then we also have an event production company that's helping out a lot. And so we're outsourcing as much as we can to them in terms of like just the logistical stuff, right? So, but it's a lot of work, but it is also something that like, it's really fun. It's fun to connect with other people. And it's been really cool to see how many people are rallying around the cause and the vision of uniting the Seattle community, right? So just posting I made a tweet about, did I say that right? I made a tweet. I posted a tweet.
Yeah,
I tweeted.
Right.
I don't know.
That's right.
I tweeted about, hey, happy hour for anybody that wants to brainstorm ideas on how to make NFT Seattle an epic event. And we had maybe 10 people show up, but I just did that a day or two beforehand. And then 10 people came and I'd only met about half of them. So that was a pretty cool thing. Like, hey, somebody reshared it and then posted it in some Discord, and these people came that I didn't even know, but they were excited about contributing to it. They're like, hey, I'm in the NFT space, just trying to connect with other people that are, and sounded like something really cool to be a part of. So how can we move this forward? And so I think it's really cool that it's uniting forward-thinking, open-minded people that just want to be a part of. People have created some really cool relationships in the space, and they want to facilitate that for others and bring more attention to it, because a lot of people are still just siloed and fragmented and in their own little world, getting excited about something, but not able to share it with the community. So it's cool to see people rallying around it.
That's really cool, especially in your hometown. Well, not hometown, but in the town where you live, that you get to bring.
Seattle feels like home,
Yeah, no, that's definitely exciting. I don't think we even have an NFT San Francisco, and you're a tech hub and we're a tech hub. There might be one. I just haven't heard of it. So
I don't think so. I was actually talking to somebody about this earlier today. about, or no, I guess it was yesterday. Ryan, he founded a company called, I think Mint Drops was the name of his company, but he's headquartered in San Francisco, and they do a ton of NFT stuff. And when I described the situation in Seattle, he's like, dude, that sounds just like San Francisco. We're a tech hub, and there's a lot of people that are interested in it, but there's definitely not like that sense of community.
Yeah. Got it. Well,
NFTSF, maybe that's next.
Well, we need you to come down and organize it. That definitely is something that's way too much work for me. Yeah, we talk about a lot today, Mark, but I know you're a collector. Last thing before we let you go, because you're super busy. Podcast and in Seattle, Brantegic, probably some other stuff as well. What's one thing?
No other stuff. Saying no to other stuff. No, I mean, trying to say no to as much as possible to focus on the main things, you know?
Makes sense. So you've been collecting and dabbling for a while now, close to a year in NFTs. What's something that you wish was more in? Let me rephrase that. What's something that's missing from NFTs as a collector, right? Like it's trading's great, you know, community's great. What's something that's might be missing that you would like to see to push the space forward? What's something? It doesn't have to be NFTs. It could be the metaverse as well. Is there anything that you see that's like we're just really slow on, and that you see upcoming that would make a major impact for the space itself?
That's a good question. What's the one thing? There's so much missing. It's so new. I mean, I would say I would say user experience overall, right? Like everybody's talking about how do we get the adoption higher? How do we get more people to create a wallet and do? It's like it's not easy to dive into this stuff, right? And so I think people are going to do it when it makes more sense and it's better than what they're currently doing. And as of right now, like we talked about, okay, the next evolution of this is you sign in with your Ethereum wallet or your public wallet address, right? And that's going to replace Facebook login or Google sign in. And that's kind of easy with you've got the Google Chrome extension for MetaMask and that kind of stuff. It's not too challenging, but the whole space, the user experience has not caught up, and it has not made it better for people or given people a reason to really adopt it. So when there is a reason and it's more valuable and it's easier and it just makes sense and it's a no-brainer for people to jump in, then people are going to come in waves. But as of right now, there's a lot of really clunky experiences. The security's not there. The user experience isn't there. And so I think we just have that's why I said earlier, we're in Web 2.5 because the vision's there and there's a lot of stuff happening, but it's not fully formed. And so we're all playing a part in just building a better future that is going to be something people are excited to be a part of.
Yeah, absolutely agree with that. It's very, it's definitely needs to have a better user experience. I remember you telling me at NFT LA that like you hate Discord. You wouldn't get on Discord.
I avoid Discord as much as I can. I jump in for updates and then there's just like a million notifications and it's like, dude, I don't have time for all that, you know? So
makes sense.
What you said earlier about, okay, I'm going to eliminate the noise and really invest into a few communities. That's definitely what I've tried to do as well, because you can't keep up with all of it.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool, Mark. Well, that's all I had for you.
I like that Flyfish club hat.
Yeah, this was the NFT that really has user experience. Like me and the missus flew out to a yacht party, and that was really probably unforgettable, once in a lifetime experience. Yeah, we flew out to Miami, Florida, and not only did they give us a all-inclusive, just a one-day cruise with different community members. They flew in from even like Europe, and we also got a dinner at an Italian restaurant after that fact. So it was one of those experiences that I would not forget. So yeah, for me, NFTs with good utility in communities would definitely win the race. So yeah, Flyfish Club, not endorsement to go purchase them, but that's where the cap's from. And
but
also
you may or may not end up getting a VIP all expenses paid cruise in Miami. So just saying.
Right. Yeah. Well, I probably spent more money on this NFT than like they're really good at getting money from me. They launched some exclusive Nike kicks, like customized Flyfish Club kicks. And it was like $450. They're like, there's only 100 of them. I'm like, give it to me.
Take all of my money.
Basically, I was like, take my money. Like, take my money. Yeah. So finding a community that you want to represent you, or just anything that you want to represent you in a digital space, was never important to me in real life, which is strange. I never spend money in real life on anything, but being inside the NFT space is just, I need to control myself. I don't know what's going on.
I get it. Relatable.
Yeah. So, and that's something I probably need to temper my expenditures on. But one thing that stood out for me in our convo is that even before NFT space, and I started documenting myself on YouTube, I did the Simon Sinek, basically, what was it called? Simon Sinek's. He had an exercise where you had to find your life model, and mine's was
Okay.
to inspire others to live life through meaningful connections. And I did that in 2014. And I'm like, what the hell did I just write down? Like, I had no idea like what that meant, like ever.
Yeah.
Until like what, 7 years later, even to this conversation is like, okay, it's starting to really make sense, especially when you talked about scaling relationships through YouTube. Like that really made sense to me, and tie me that back in, because I'm like it never made sense to me. I'm like, why I would write that down? Like it was this whole like 7-hour exercise. I actually did it with Mark and Aaron, our mutual friends. And then they helped me to define that. And I had no idea what it meant. No idea. And still I'm realizing what that truly means today. Point being that I think Web3, NFTs, Metaverse, I see that happening. And like we're inspiring people to live life through meaningful connections. So not just, sit behind a computer and, have a profile picture, but vibe with that community, find pockets of people that you have interest with, and find those people all around the world.
Yeah. I love it. Inspiring people through meaningful connection.
Inspiring people to live life through meaningful connections.
Beautiful.
Yeah, don't steal that.
I'm
kidding.
Let's steal that one. That's good.
Well, awesome, Mark. Thank you for joining us today. NFT Seattle. I'll put all the information down on links below. The podcast, NFT Seattle, Strategic, where to find Mark, and what else am I missing?
You nailed it, man. That's it.
Cool, man. We'll love to have you back on in the future when I got more things going on for myself. And
next time we've got to dive in and we can have a conversation more about what you got going on. So
yeah, for sure.
We'd love to do that. Yeah. Maybe you should come on the podcast and we can dive more into your story.
100%. I'd love to do that.
Cool.
All right, Mark. Thank you for your time.
Appreciate you, brother. Talk soon.